And you're right. I think the tech crisis points to the fact that this disruption is real when it comes to the AI impact. And Nvidia is the poster child when it comes to the demand that they have seen for their chips. And look, all the hyperscalers, we started the year thinking they're going to grow their capex 30%. Now that number is 60%.
Wow.
Some of that increase is because of memory prices, but then you are also seeing an increased plans to add capacity. And that's where Nvidia will likely have upside to their numbers tonight. The question still remains around the sustainability of growth, because when you are growing 70% at the scale that Nvidia is at, $300 billion run rate for 2026, the numbers, the growth rates will taper. It's a given. So that's the part that I think the visibility is what you want to figure out in terms of how much visibility the company has and what that means in terms of growth rates.
I mean, I'm looking at the FA function, which is a consensus of all the analyst forecasts here. And again, in calendar 26 or calendar really 26, 50% revenue growth. I mean, it's just extraordinary here. What does the street need to hear from Nvidia tonight? What are they focusing on these days?
I mean, Jensen has called out demand being stronger at least 10 times, since the start of the year, CES, Davos. And yesterday, the fact that AMD had this deal with Meta, where they ended up giving away 10% of the stock as warrants. To me, that's a sign Nvidia still is the leader when it comes to, everyone clamoring to get their chips. And everyone else is trying to make sure they stay in the race, which is what the move I thought AMD had yesterday.
Yesterday, you basically put the surveillance cork in my mouth, and Mandeep lectured me on the use of AI. I look at it as a $20 subscription. How in God's name did they pay for the billions of data centers with $20 from Alexis, $20 from Paul, and $20 from Tom?
So right now they are subsidizing it, and it is being priced below the costs that these hyperscalers have to pay to Nvidia to get the chips, because Nvidia clearly is not taking a hit on their margins. They still have that mid 70% margins. So prices will go up. That $20 subscription will go up in price.
This is familiar, Paul. It sounds like streaming.
I know.
And also the enterprise API usage. That's a big part of adoption. Don't just focus on the consumer part. That's corporations.
They don't pay $20 per person.
Yeah, they're signing multi-million-dollar deals right now.
I mean, Nvidia, you just mentioned $300 million in revenue. I just went on to look at AMD, $45 billion of revenue. It's not even close, dude. So is Nvidia that much ahead of everybody else in terms of this story?
They are, and that Blackwell chip ramp that they showed last quarter, I mean, you will see it in full gear in the results tonight. And now they have announced the next architecture, the Rubin architecture. So that's how far ahead. They're at least, 18 months ahead of everyone in terms of the efficiency and the compute capacity and power that they are able to show with their chips.
Across the nation today, Mandeep Singh with us with Anurag Rana. I just can't say enough about Bloomberg Intelligence ability on technology. We threaten to have both of them on together, but they can't be in the same room at the same time. Okay, Mandeep, here's the real world on depreciation. I had a 2019 Intel cheese grater, fancy Mac computer. Fancy people like me can buy. It has a depreciated value of under $400. The fancy Nvidia chip in the bottom of my cheese grater is now holding up a martini at 5 p.m. I mean, tell us about the depreciation and the technological pressure that Mr. Wang is under to get better, and everything else becomes a coffee table for a martini.
Yes, and that's a great point about the long-term, multiple that this company can get despite its growth is because of that aspect. But right now, the real constraint is power. So everyone has a finite amount of power, and you want the best compute. And that's why people are willing to upgrade to NVIDIA's latest architecture, because they can't add more power. They want to use the chip that is best optimized for the power they have available, which is why NVIDIA is releasing their new generations so quickly, within a year, in some cases.
It's Blackwell.
It is? I don't know.
Somebody whispered it.
Look at the rental pricing of the older versions of their chips. They
rental
are
pricing,
rental
older
pricing.
chasing.
Yes, I mean they're still off the charts. Everyone wants to get a hold of whatever the market has to offer in terms of the rental price.
All right, so in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we've had this sell-off in software stocks. What are you and Anurag telling institutional investors these days about that?
That it's going to take a while to clear this out in terms of these companies adapting, the LLMs situation now. They have to integrate LLMs. They have to offer, functionality that's built on top of LLMs. And it's going to take a while to play out.
Don't I just run out and buy Salesforce.com hand over fist here? I mean, is AI going to put a Salesforce.com?
Not out of business. The terminal value is not in question, but it's going to take a while to figure out the margin impact, when the growth will rebound, and it's not going to happen within a quarter or two.
Finally, Tom, these tech analysts, investors actually have to do some work. Before they could just sit back and say, my business is growing 20, 30%. He's built his career on just my business to grow 20, 30% a year. He and Anurag.
No, you're right. They just plug it in.
Now I think they got to oh boy.
Okay, one final question. Ian Wyatt's waiting for us here. We got to get him on. Mandeep Singh, Microsoft AI, transform with Microsoft AI where trust meets innovation. Great MBA statement. Okay, wonderful. What's the level of panic at Microsoft right now?
Good question.
In the AI wars?
I mean, look, the whole OpenAI situation is what's really causing the panic. Microsoft is still deeply embedded. To Paul's point, they're a system of record in a lot of the cases. And most likely you are going to add AI on top of Microsoft software. You're not going to rewrite, what Microsoft is doing with Office or Windows or all the other software they have. The question is, they don't have their own LLM. And that's where the reliance on OpenAI is hurting them, because OpenAI wants to get into applications themselves, and that whole thing is not panning out.
I thought LLM was a law degree out of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I know.